The Fantasy Skirmisher.
Chitin 1 is a tactical war game that was published back in 1977 by Metagaming, and this was the second game in their Microgame series, the first being Ogre, designed by Steve Jackson. Now, Chitin 1, The Harvest Wars, is based on a role-playing game that was never published called Hymenoptera, and it pits two bug hives fighting over precious food during the harvest. So this game was designed in 1977. This is the second printing. 1978 has a different cover, and the map color is different than the first one that came out the year before. And the game was designed by Howard Thompson and edited by Steve Jackson, and the illustrations are by Paul Jaquays. Paul now goes by Janelle, and Janelle has been very prolific in the gaming scene, both for board games and for video games. Now let's go ahead and read the introduction. Beneath cool gray morning mists, the fields of reddened grain wait for fall. But as dawn's yellow glint pierces the fog, the early calm is broken by a chitinous rustling. Moving through the fields in gleaming rivers, their carapaces sparkling with dew, come two deadly harvest parties. Mandibles click as they sight each other. Then claws crush and spikes pierce armor. The warriors destroy each other while the workers scramble, not for cover, but to collect the grain and the bodies of the fallen. Dragonish gantuas loom through the tattered fog, scattering smaller opponents. Termagants hack at the soft underparts. Flyers hover overhead, waiting to plunge their stings between armor plates. This season's harvest battle is underway. And that sets the stage for this game, and it really fired up my imagination, as did a lot of the other microgames did back in the day when I was a kid. So let's take a look at the components, starting with the map here. And you can see it's broken down into hexes, just like a standard old school war game. And it also has these mega hexes as well. The function of the mega hexes is to regulate the flying units, and also it defines the command control space for the basics, which are insects that in the advanced game provide command control so units don't get disrupted. And then you've got the terrain. You've got the clear hexes. They're the planes. So units cost 1 movement point to enter. And then you've got river hexes right here, just meandering blue lines. Gantuas, those are the large insects, enter at a cost of 1 movement point. All other units enter at a cost of 2 movement points. And finally, you've got the rough terrain hexes, which include forest hexes, the shaded ones, and also the wavy lines, which are slopes. As you could see, you got slopes that go down on both sides into a valley below with a couple of outcrops. So low renders enter at a cost of 1 movement point in this terrain. All others is 2 movement points, and forest hexes have the combat strength of air units when they're attacking ground units. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the counters. This counter shows 2 units of flanxes, and flanxes are thrusters, and they've got the little silhouette here. And the 2 units have a combined strength of 6. Now if the unit gets disrupted, it's down to 4. And in the right hand corner, you have their movement, which is 4 hexes, plus a C denotes this unit has the capability to charge. Charging is in the advanced rules, where you can get 2 extra movement points to move right into an enemy unit and attack right away, which doubles your strength but disrupts you after the attack. Now let's take a look at the units, starting with the workers. They cannot attack. They have 1 defense. Their sole function is to collect food. They're the only ones that could do so, and then bring it off the map on your side. And that's how you get victory points. Then you have the basics. The basics are the command control insects that are in the advanced rules. They're the ones that have the command range of the mega hexes that I had mentioned. If you do not have a basic in a mega hex with your warrior units, they will become disrupted. Then we have the warriors, starting with the termagants. The termagants are hackers. Then you have the gantuas, which are smashers. Then you have the low renders, which are renders. Then you have the flanks, which are thrusters. And then finally, also in the advanced game, are the flyers. So these, what are they called again? PL. Plungers, yes, plungers. So plungers, if you notice, range from 1 unit to 4 units, unlike other bugs, the ground units, which range from 1 to 3 units. For stacking is concerned for ground units, you can only have 3 dots in a stack, and they all have to be the same type of bug. You cannot mix them, except for, say, a warrior unit and a worker or a basic. Chitin 1 has several different scenarios, starting with a learning scenario that uses 3 harvest chits, and the goal is to move 2 of the 3 off your side of the board to win the game. Then you have a basic scenario, a small scenario, intermediate, advanced, and the all units, which is their Armageddon scenario. Each scenario, as you can see here, has a number of starting points, and those points are the strength of your combat units. So one thing I liked about this game is that you could kind of create the bug army of your choice with the points that you have. The basic scenario does not use the advanced rules and uses the basic winning conditions, which is strictly moving chits off the map on your side of the board. And also it doesn't use flyers or the basics, because those are the advanced rules. And then the small scenario uses the advanced rules, as does the intermediate, which just ups the number of points, as does the advanced and the all units or the Armageddon scenario. As far as victory, like I said, in the basic game, whoever moves off the most harvest chits wins the game. In the advanced game, the victory conditions differ because you need to tally up the number of units you lost. Also, you could move dead bugs, like dead enemy bugs, off the map as well, because they can become food as well, which is kind of a really cool thing. And then you have, of course, the sequence of play. The sequence of play is very, very basic. It's I go, you go type style gameplay. You move all the ground and air units according to the movement rules. Then you turn all disrupted units right side up, so they become undisrupted. Then you have combat, and then in the advanced game, you kind of do that bookkeeping to tally, record the number of units lost by each side, add the units lost to the values of the nearest harvest chit, so that way you could use the advanced victory conditions. And then start a new turn. I've already touched on movement when we discussed the map and the different types of terrain, but there's just one thing I want to share before we move into a combat example, and that is something called zones of control. So each combat unit, each warrior unit, exerts a zone of control in the 6 hexes surrounding it. It costs 1 extra movement point for an enemy unit to move into a zone of control. So this Termagant is planning on attacking this low render from the rear. So he moves up, and so it costs 1 movement point for the plains hex, and then an additional movement point for the zone of control for 2 movement points to move into that 1 hex. So after movement, you undisrupt any disrupted units, such as, like that. And then you move into combat. Combat is, you just do a ratio comparing the combat strength of the 2 units, the attacker and the defender, and then rolling on a combat's results table. And as you can see here, the combat adds and the combat results table is ridiculously small, but I do have a fix for that with this one weird trick. Okay, so what we have here is a termagant who is attacking a low render. It's 3 units of termagants attacking 2 units, so it is a combat strength of 6 versus 4, so it would be 1-to-1 ratio on the combat results table. But wait, there's more. So since this unit is attacking from the rear of this unit, so the 3 front hexes is the front, the 3 hexes behind is the rear. Therefore, they get a combat add for each unit. So that would add 3 to my combat strength from 6 to 9. But wait, there's more. If you recall, the termagants have combat advantage over the low renders, so therefore I get 3 more points for a total of 12. 12 divided by 4, so now we've got 3-to-1 odds, excuse me, which we'd roll on the combat results table. So I roll a die, I rolled a 5, and the 5 is D2, which means 2 units are destroyed, and so that combat unit is over. Now let's just take a quick look at, or at least try to, some of the different types of combat results. So in addition to the attacker or the defender losing units, you also could have the attacker or the defender become disrupted, and you could also have the attacker or the defender retreat. So let's just say we got a combat result where the defender had to retreat instead. If a unit retreats, then the attacking unit can move into that counter space. And that's pretty much it. Just, the advanced rules again, this adds the flying units, the plungers, as we mentioned, and also charging attacks, which a couple of units, such as the Gantuas, can do. It also adds the advanced victory point rules, which you need to keep tabs of the number of units you've lost and the dead, because dead could be carried off as food. And you also lose points for destroyed units as well. And the other item is the command and control with the basics. So that is it. I want to leave it on this note. If this is a game you're interested in, but you're not big on the 1978 $2.95 components, there is a graphic redesign that was done and available by Scott E. on Board Game Geek in the files section. Here's a couple of pictures of his just gorgeous redesign. So if this is something that you could do or have done and you're interested in this game, it's an option for you. All right, thank you for watching the Fantasy Skirmisher, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.